Okay, whatever. So, first of all, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for 30,000 subscribers. 30,000 guys, I don't think you guys understand how unexpected this channel was. Like a 3 a.m. decision in quarantine. Never did I imagine ever that it would become such an important part of my life. Probably my favorite thing that I've ever done in my life, and probably my favorite thing in life in general. So I want to thank you all so much. Whether you're new or you're vintage, thank you. I really, thank you seems like such a juvenile thing to say because like it's just words like, oh my gosh, Anyway, I'm just gonna get on with the video. Actually, one of my friends, she always says, you don't find Sunny's secret, it finds you. Anyway, when my channel finds people that I know in real life, they always message me like, what book would you recommend? I always look to my list of like favorite books ever, the list that I have right here. All the books that I've given 5 stars. Haters will say that I have an old video from like a year ago when I first started my channel, which is the only books I've ever given 5 stars. Any of the books that I talked about in that video, I'm not gonna talk about in this video. I feel like I don't even need to talk about those books anymore. So this is like the updated books that I would truly recommend all the time because they're literally my favorite books ever. I love them so much. To anyone, I'll recommend these books to anyone, no matter who you are. I say that I'm picking up my 5 stars. I just get a very Pacific feeling, and the girls who get it, and the girls who don't. I can just tell that it's gonna be 5-star like from like the first 2 chapters. I don't know how to explain it. It's my spidey senses are tingling. But anyway, I'm gonna start with fantasy and then I'm gonna go on to my contemporary / historical fiction because there's a lot more. Also, people always comment like, I can't tell what your book taste is. I don't have, like, it's so all over the map. The first one is a recent addition and I'm so excited about it. Queen of the Tearling by 𝐬𝐮𝐩𝐸. The writing style, like I haven't read a fantasy book in such a long time where I've truly loved the writing style so much. 𝐬𝐮𝐩𝐸, what a queen. It's like a classic kingdom fantasy. Our main character is a girl named Kelsey. Her mother was the queen of this kingdom called Tyr. She was pretty much raised in isolation and secret so that no one could like hurt her, and now she's like come of age and it's time for her to become the queen of the kingdom. But the kingdom is in shambles. All of these characters feel so real to me. Kelsey, amazing. Emma Watson was casted for the movie that got cancelled. Can't let that rest in peace. She's probably one of my favorite main characters that I've read about. I think that reading about royal people is boring. You're entitled, you're rich. Show me the poor people, you know what I mean? But no, this is one of the exceptions to it because Kelsey is such a good person. Her uncle, a menace. Just another disgusting man in power, you know the vibe. I'm sensing a slow burn romance subplot and it's with one of her bodyguards and I love him too. Oh my gosh, it's just so good. This book, so good. I'm like a million years late to the bandwagon. I know I will be rolling over in my grave about that, but oh my gosh, I just love this book. 5 stars. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. Oh my gosh, I literally time to move on because I have so many books to get through. Okay, next, An Ember in the Ashes. The most hyped up, as it should. Follow 2 characters, Leia or Laya and Elias or Elias. I know how I pronounce the names, but I'm scared that I'm dead wrong and I'm gonna embarrass myself in front of the whole entire internet. One is a soldier in this empire that's like conquered this group of people. The girl is one of those people and joins the rebellion, and the rebellion sends her undercover as a slave. So, oh my gosh, is the setup for this not the spiciest thing you've ever heard in your entire life? Anyway, of course the 2 of them meet. I think that the romance was amazing. It was obviously not the focal point, but it was like focal point enough because the romance is not just there to be romance. It's like significant to like the politics. It wasn't a slow burn, but I'm okay with that. I read the first 2 books. I need to read the 3rd one. It's like my next book that I'm gonna read because everybody has been telling me that there's like the best secondary slow burn romance ever. Everyone has been telling me this. I just know that that's gonna be like a 6 out of 5 stars. I can't wait for it. World building, so interesting. The kingdom, I'm crying and throwing up because I would be the first to die in this kingdom. Characters, more strength in their left pinky finger than I have in my entire body, I swear to God. So good to read about. The politics, so interesting. The themes, so relevant. Colonization, oppression. Next, This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. It gives me 𝐤𝐻𝐸 from 6 of Crows. And that is why this is a 5-star read. Another like fantasy dystopia type thing. Follow 2 characters. It's like enemies to lovers, secret identity. There's a city that's split up into 2. One has like monsters in it and one has humans in it. You follow monster boy, human girl. Monster boy goes undercover into the human world, goes to the same school as a human girl. They meet, become friends. They don't know each other's identities. They team up, discover corruption in the government. Classic dystopian. Love that trope so much. Always hits. It's like the cutest friends to lovers slow burn. Like I said, it gives me 𝐤𝐻𝐸 because they develop such a strong bond before anything romantic is even like entertained. They just trust each other fully. It's just like in the second book, which is this dark duet, where there are like more hints, and then at the very end is the only time that you get like a little bit of payoff, and it's like my favorite thing ever. I love it so much. Like I said, the relationship gives me 𝐤𝐻 and 𝐸𝐻, like that type of trust established before anything romantic happens, and then whatever romantic things do happen, it's like so subtle, which makes the payoff and build up so good. The next one is also 𝐕𝐸𝐲. This one is an adult fantasy series. I just read the first book. I'm reading the second book right now. I already love it. I just know that I'm gonna love this series so much. Everybody had recommended it to me because there's a slow burn romance subplot in a fantasy book. My favorite thing ever, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic. Follow 𝐤, a traveler who can like travel between parallel worlds. He meets our girl main character. She's a thief named Lila. Both of them, their paths cross and they end up having to work together. Classic pickpocket first meeting. You guys know that I love that trope. Best meet cute ever. Changed my mind when one of them pickpockets the other. I can already tell the beginnings of the slow burn because nothing has happened in this first book aside from the fact that both of them now care about each other. They already have that bond. That's like the makings of like the best slow burn. All of you guys have been telling me that I'm gonna just love the rest of the series too, so so excited for that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to all my contemporary slash historical fiction. I'm gonna start off with the historical fiction because there's only one. It's Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I read this book ages ago. It remains probably my favorite historical fiction I've ever read in my entire life. I love it so much. Follow the Wilhelm Gustloff like ship sinking, more fatal than the Titanic, and you follow many different perspectives. Follow every single character, and all the POVs are so spicy. You follow a young Polish girl who's pregnant, and then you follow a nurse, and you follow a soldier, and then you follow a Nazi as well. All of them are on board the ship. Cried like a bitch. The ending, one chapter, so brutal. Why would they do that to us? Why would they do that? It was so brutal. And most of all, the common denominator here. Say, what is it? That's right, a slow burn romance subplot between the soldier and the nurse. And I loved reading about that slow burn romance. I was not expecting it, and it was so cute, written so well, so subtle, so sweet. Oh, it was so good. Sometimes historical fiction is scary for me to read because it's hard to understand sometimes, like the way that it's written. This one, so easy to read. It has like a weird addictive quality to it that I had never seen in another historical fiction before, so that was crazy. Okay, next. Okay, oh my god. I just threw my phone. I literally saw that happening in slow motion. It was like slow motion. Next series of books are all my TJR books. 3 of her books, and they are all 5 stars to me. My favorite might be Malibu Rising, which I feel like is not other people's favorite. I don't know, I loved it so much. You follow a family of famous like surfer siblings, and their parents were famous. Stories over the course of 24 hours, like by the hour of them having this biggest summer party of the season. That's just the backdrop. The actual story is like all the family drama that happens, and then you also have flashbacks to the kids growing up, and also other flashbacks to their parents' love story. So it's like a slow reveal to get the full picture of like who these people are, why they are the way that they are, all of their relationships with each other. I think the reason that I love this book so much was because of one of the characters. I would say she's probably like the main character, even though they're all main, which is Nina, the eldest. The burden of being the eldest daughter of a family, I can't even fathom this. She literally had to raise these kids. Hold on, let me get my book journal for this actually. Looks like this. Write down all of my favorite quotations. Whole video about it if you want to go watch it. Too much self-sufficiency was sort of mean to the people who loved you. You robbed them of how good it feels to give, of their sense of value. Something about reading from Nina's perspective and reading that stuff actually like did something to me. It actually hit me so hard, so close to home. Played me like a fiddle, let me say that. That is why I loved this book the most out of all of her books, but all of her other books are also bangers. Like my next book, which is Evelyn Hugo, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. You follow a famous Marilyn Monroe type level stardom Hollywood actress. You're reading this interview that she's giving now when she's like really old, revealing all the secrets that she couldn't say when she was younger, everything that she had to do to get to where she is. She got married 7 times, so you follow every single husband. Some of them are little hoes. There is this one quotation from this book that single-handedly could slap 5 stars onto it for me. I have never cried so hard from one quotation. I genuinely mean that. It was just like the perfect quote that hit me at the perfect time to elicit such a hysterical, unhinged, catastrophic response. Created a whole playlist about it. Oh my gosh, okay, it's called Someone Please Catch Me, I'm Exhausted. And the description is the quote, which is, you do not know how fast you have been running, how hard you have been working, how truly exhausted you are until someone stands behind you and says, it's okay, you can fall down now. I'll catch you. Oh my gosh, stop! Why am I getting emotional? It gets me every single time. Every single time. I feel like I need to move on to the next book. Last TJR book, One True Loves. This video is gonna be a million years long. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Okay, speed through these. I recommend it all the time. You follow a woman. She thought that her first love died and then she moved on to a second love, but then her first love calls because turns out he's actually not dead and now she's like in this conundrum. There's just so many beautiful quotes from this book about falling in love, falling out of love, how love changes you, how grief changes you. And the whole theme is that no one has just one true love. You can have multiple true loves in your life and that is okay. It just comes with change. Everybody changes and it's like learning how to accept those changes. Fall like a baby. Yeah. Next, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I love this book so much and I want to reread it. She's like this 30-year-old woman. She appears to have such a mundane life, office job, goes home, blah, 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 blah. As you're reading the book, you slowly pick up on things from her perspective that are not typical. And then as the story goes on, you learn more and more about Eleanor. They always allude to like this past traumatic event that happened, but we don't know the full story of what happens until like the very, very end. And there's like a budding friendship, relationship, romance happening between her and the IT guy at her office, the sweetest man ever. It's just written so well. You end up caring so much about Eleanor, and the more that you learn, when you get the full picture, it's like so mind-boggling. I love this book so much. Next, Ask Again, Yes. You follow two families over multiple generations being neighbors with each other. And then the two kids from those you follow as well before they were born all the way to when they're adult. Like a childhood friends to lovers. I can't explain to you how emotionally wrecked I was by the end of this book, like the very last line of this book. When you figure out what the title means, why it's, oh my gosh, I need to go. I'm not okay. I'm not yeah, like okay, let's move on to the next one. Next is randomly the only YA contemporary that I have on here, which is Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. The biggest surprise of this entire year because I picked it up on a whim and I kind of want to gatekeep this book. I said it all the time, but I guess now we're both through the gates. This is a YA contemporary, hard-hitting, emotional romance. Follow two characters, Juliet, Declan. Both of them are going through tumultuous times, grieving, and they start writing to each other anonymously through a graveyard, but they're anonymous. Don't know who it is. It's that trope, which normally I hate, but this one did it so well because I think that the revelation was done really well. It wasn't cringy, wasn't disappointing or underwhelming, and I love both of the characters. Written so well, so addicting. I read it in one sitting. I love it. Probably one of the best books that I've read of the year so far. Okay, next, People We Met on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is like my romance gateway book. This is like the first adult romance book that I read. I read it last year. It made me realize that maybe Friends to Lovers does deserve rights. Basically follow Alex and Poppy. They were best friends since college, freshman year. They would go on vacation with each other every single year until like 2 years ago. Now they're like fully adult. Something happened on like that last vacation that made them lose touch, not speaking terms anymore. You don't know what it is. It's like that trope. I just love their chemistry and their banter and the fact that they had such a strong platonic relationship before anything romantic ever happened. Like when they first met each other, completely platonic, nothing romantic ever. Some of the best quotations. We're magnets trying to draw together even as you cradle the careful distance between us. Amazing, masterpiece. I feel like it's such a good intro book to romance. It reads more like just a contemporary fiction. Also, I picture them as Luke Bracey and Emma Roberts. Okay, next, Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This book made me realize that Frederick Bachman has probably one of my favorite writing styles, if not my favorite writing style I've ever read, ever. It's so clever, his writing. But this is another literary fiction. Okay, the backdrop is about a bank robbery that went wrong. There was a bank robber who tried to rob a cashless bank, ran to the nearest apartment complex where there's an apartment showing happening. All the people who were in the apartment are now hostages, and you follow the police investigators who are trying to figure this out. It's like a slow reveal about everything that actually happened in that apartment. And it's not what you think. Like whatever you think that this book is, like it's genuinely not that at all. Like I can't explain every part of this book because it's like so out of pocket, random, and won't make any sense unless you actually read the book. It's one of those books where like everything is connected and it's so, I'm like, how did he just sit there and think of this? You know? No, but genuinely I'm like, how do you even think about this? Like it's so out of pocket and random. I just had never read a book like this before ever, I don't think. Okay, next, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I'm on a mission to read every single Colleen Hoover book. The reason for that is because It Ends With Us is the first one that I read and now it's like one of my favorite books of all time. And to this day, it's my favorite one. I haven't read another Colleen book that has topped It Ends With Us for me. In comparison to her other books, I think is the most emotional because it feels the most real. And I think that that's why I liked it so much. And again, bawled like a baby at the very end. All closing quotations of a book will actually get me. I'm actually the target audience. Whatever you're trying to do, it hit with this one. This book is about a woman who falls in love with a surgeon and you read their love story. Partway through the book, out of nowhere, you don't see it coming. Boom! Toxic relationship. Flashback to a childhood, friends to lovers, true love, epic love. Have never read a love as deep. And that relationship is like, we're getting a companion novel for it. I can't even talk about it. Oh, I can't think about it. I feel like I haven't never read a book that was this perspective of reading from her point of view, and then you can empathize so much with why people don't leave these relationships. So emotional, and it was done so well. Okay, last book that I'll talk about is Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie, part of the Addicted/𝐬𝐭� series, but it's like one of the middle books, like the second book or the third book. But the reason that this book is like the 5-star book for me, even though none of the other books are, this is the first book where you get the makings of one couple in the series, and this couple is now like one of my favorite couples of all time, and the guy is like one of my favorite characters of all time, none other than Reich Meadows. Daisy, Reich, Razy. You get their first beginnings in this book, and I just love how slow burn it is throughout this entire series, because they don't even meet in the first book. This is the first book where they actually even meet and interact, and just from their first interaction you can just tell they have such good chemistry. Had me squealing in my seat. So many butterflies. I'm in love with Reich. We all know all the core 6. So hot. All of them are so hot. Reich Meadows, oh my god, but cares so much about the people around him. The people who are close in his life, like he just loves them so much, so fiercely, like will do anything to protect them. I just love him so much. I can't even. And Daisy, she's the youngest 𝐬𝐽 sister, such a risk taker, such a free spirit, bright, bubbly, kind. The sparks that were flying when they first meet each other, insane. Oh my gosh, I've never read about like that kind of chemistry on their first meeting like that before. Amazing. They have such a deep bond and care so much for each other and go through so much together, and like just the way that they care about each other, oh my god. Anyway, I just love them so much. So this book is my favorite one out of the entire Addicted/𝐬𝐽 sister series that I've read so far. So 5 stars. Okay, that's the last book that I'm gonna talk about in this video. Oh my gosh, this video is gonna be such a monster to edit. Those are like all my favorite books. I have so many favorite books that I discover all the time, so of course I'll make new and updated videos about this. I hope this video was helpful. If you are new to my channel, I recommend any of these books. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already, and follow me on all my socials at sunnykimreads on Instagram, at sunnykim4 on TikTok. I'll see you all in the next one. If you guys like my hearts, ta-da! Bye!